Ways to make money from home. Welcome, guys and girls, to today's episode where we will be talking about ways that you can make money from the comfort of your own home. So then, let's get cracking on today's content. So, I guess one of the things, many years ago I did this one, computer repair or troubleshooter. A few years back, what I actually started doing was repairing iPhone and iPad screens because they were very lucrative markets. You can still do that today. You can go on eBay and you can actually purchase the screen repair kits. And I would probably suggest having a bit of a practice on some old phones first before you start trying to fix other people's phones for money. But certainly being able to fix screens. I mean, actually, do you know, there was a chap who was living by me. And do you know what he used to do? He used to go around and just put the screen protectors on people's mobile phones because he could do it without putting any of those horrible bubbles in. And to be honest, he used to charge $5 for doing it, which doesn't sound like a lot of money. But he had about 20 people, 30 people a week that he was just charging $5 to, putting screen protectors on. He did have a full-time job, so he did it around that. But what a great little business opportunity for people if you're steady-handed and you can actually put screen protectors on mobile phones. What a great opportunity. But this is about computer repair or phone repair or iPod repair, iPad repair, that sort of thing. You could actually start that quite simply on Facebook Marketplace, offering that as a service. Something that I personally, like I said, I used to do some screen repairs in my spare time. I had somebody who was actually the person who did the screen repairing. I had him show me how to do it, but I have the heavy-handed syndrome, let's call it. So everything I touch breaks. But he was very good at doing it, and he did try his best to teach me. God love him. My job was just literally to get the inquiries in, and he took care of the work. So if you're any good at replacing phone screens, it's actually not that difficult. The tools are very basic and you can buy them in packs. So I would suggest that as a very handy and very easy game to get into. Why? Because who do you know who does not have a mobile phone these days? And more importantly, who do you know who does not have a massively cracked screen? Something to think about as you are building up your what do I do as a side hustle business for computer or screen repairs. There's an interesting one, this. Chat support. So you can become, you know, when you go onto a website and you go, oh, hi, how can I help you today? You sort of envisage that person sitting in an office somewhere. Actually, not true. You can go and find these sorts of jobs. You can find them on Indeed, actually, for chat support agent. And there's various brands that will employ you to do that sort of stuff. I know there's a brand called Silkthread that will employ people to work from home. I know Apple do as well. So go and have a look. Chat support. I personally get frustrated using chat support, but it's now becoming more the way of the world. And it's quite well paid. I mean, I know Apple are paying over £15 an hour for chat support. So something worth considering. One of our more technical offers is becoming a coder. Computer coding is sort of the new thing, isn't it? I mean, as we embrace artificial intelligence, AI, people are becoming more and more savvy with computer science, computer technology. I think we're starting to teach coding in schools now. When I was in school, we had one computer which had Microsoft Windows. I don't even think it was Microsoft Windows. It was Microsoft 1993. One computer. And we had to use a different computer with a program on it called Logo. And we had to basically program a thing to move up and down the screen to make a square and then make a circle and stuff like that. And that was our IT lesson. We got 35 minutes a week in 1993 3 till 1998, we still had 35 minutes a week to learn IT. And look at the world now. Everything is IT dependent. So becoming a coder, you can actually, if you look back on my previous episodes, you can go and do a free course on coding on allison.com, and you will be ahead of 90% of the population just by doing that one course, learning how to code. I certainly had to learn how to do a bit of coding to create some of my websites, not massive stuff. I'm certainly not an expert at coding, but it did save me quite a lot of money from website creation. And now, of course, websites have moved along so far where you don't even need to code anymore. You just literally drag and drop and they do the coding behind the scenes for you. But being a coder has its advantages in helping you get into different companies to help them as a sort of a freelance. So that is worth considering. Data entry is a job that one of my friends does. She works for a legal firm and they send the bundles, and she does just the most basic data entry tasks for them. But it's great for her because she suffers from agoraphobia. So having agoraphobia doesn't prevent you from having a job. It just means you really struggle to go outside into new places and meet new people. So she doesn't go out. She just stays at home. She does her data entry job. She sends everything she receives everything via bundle. She completes the work. She sends an invoice. She gets paid. Doing data entry onto a computer system, you need an internet connection. You need a laptop as a minimum. And obviously they'll send you all of the right software for you. So if you can type on a computer or on a screen, data entry could be for you. And a lot of people can do that of a weekend if you've already got a job and you just want to get some extra income. So that's data entry. Again, transcribing. My friend, the same friend who does the data entry, she does this for lawyers. She does transcription and she converts spoken word into electronic text real quick. With the advancement of AI, I don't know how long her job is going to stay, but she is still doing it at the moment. And I think she said that they're starting to use a little bit of AI, but you still need somebody to proofread. So she's sort of being paid to proofread rather than transcribe now, although she does do some transcription. So headphones, access to the internet, and basic computer skills. That's it. That's all you need. You can pick up a laptop from CD Exchange for £200, you know. These are not expensive tools anymore, ladies and gents. You can go and get them very inexpensively and start promoting yourself online. This is an interesting one. Translator. Now, the UK is a very varied and colourful place. There are many different languages spoken in the UK, and the ability to speak English as well as one other language has been in demand for many years now. So particularly some of the Arabic or Asian languages, we are seeing, particularly in the businesses that we operate in the care sector, we are seeing more and more people who need people to speak Urdu, Hindi, Tamil, Gujarati. So we rely on our staff who are wonderful. They're all multilingual. And many of them come from Asia, so that's fantastic. They can speak fluent English and they can also speak fluent native tongue, some of these other languages, and some of them passing familiarity much more than I can. Even in Wales, there is a legal requirement in Wales for the care sector to have awareness of the Welsh language, which I agree with because you're in Wales, right? So we have to teach our staff, myself included, although I'm a terribly slow learner for languages, how to speak some basic Welsh phrases. So being a translator actually has real opportunities. So if you speak more than one language, I think you have some real opportunities there. Just Google opportunities to be a translator and then type in your language and see how many opportunities actually do come up. So that's quite a useful one. Social media manager. Shout out to my friend Claire here. My friend Claire Stanley actually has made a business, which I'm going to plug it here. So Claire, I'm plugging Ghost Pro. Claire makes a business out of being a ghost writer for people's social media. What a flipping ingenious idea that is. She trains people on the importance of social media and then she takes over their social media accounts for them. What an absolutely wonderful idea, and real props to Claire for doing that. I didn't come up with that idea. It was not my idea to begin with. It was Claire's idea. And I have to say, I love the ingenuity. I love the innovation. And if you do need somebody, she's not paying me for this, by the way. This is me just plugging my friend. If you need social media manager, go to Ghost Pro with Claire Stanley. But being a social media manager, again, you can do training on how to do this and start offering it to small businesses who don't have time. Like, for example, I have 9 different businesses with their own individual social media accounts. So that's 9 Facebooks, 9 Instagrams, 9 YouTubes, 9 TikToks. Okay? That's 36 separate social media accounts. Oh yeah, plus a couple on LinkedIn as well. So it's about 40 completely separate social media accounts. I haven't got time to be doing all that stuff. I have other people helping me to do that. Some of them I do myself. You'll see different posts from me on those accounts that are actually me just uploading them in real time. But for the most part, I have people helping me to post content online. Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. That's done with a professional team of people to support me. And I couldn't do it without those guys, So props to those guys as well. Shout out for the production team for the podcast for Lazy Wealth. So well done, guys. But being a social media manager is, of course, much more than putting posts out there. It's understanding audience, targeting your content towards that audience, building engagement, and ultimately generating some form of revenue. So being a social media manager, lots of free training on this. Google offer it, YouTube offer it, TikTok Studio offer it, Facebook offer it. All completely free of charge. LinkedIn offer it free of charge. You could spend a whole week just learning this brand new skill and make an entirely new business out of it. So why don't you look at becoming a social media manager and making social media work for you as a product that you sell rather than being a consumer of said product? So there's one for you. Stop! Before you go any further, if you're enjoying this content, remember to give us a subscribe, a like, a follow, or a share. Every single person that clicks on those buttons, it means the world to us because it helps us reach more people and get people educated in how to get wealth the lazy way. I know I've already talked about online surveys before, ladies and gents, but I really do think they are underrated. You can earn anything from sort of 50p to coupons, right the way up to sort of £100 for your opinions. I take part in some surveys for my professional background, which is for testing, inspection, and certification. And people pay me £150 to take part in a survey, which is a simple online form, and then they pay me £250 for a telephone interview or a face-to-face via Zoom interview. So that's for highly technical stuff, though. So that takes about an hour. So that's actually, something that we put through our consultancy service. But being able to do online surveys is absolutely a moneymaker. I'm not sure if I qualify as being an online influencer yet, because I think you need a few million hits on your videos to be an online influencer. But please, if you're an online influencer with less than 1 million views, please correct me. I'm always happy to chat about that. But companies do look for people who brand align. They look for people who are somebody who could be a brand ambassador for them. So being an online influencer, like, I really enjoy drinking out of my Lazy Wealth Creation cup because of how wonderful and smooth and shiny it is. And, if you act now in my TikTok shop, you can buy this for, £500 with a 90% discount. So, it's it's only going to cost you a couple of quid now. I love listening to the online influencers, but it works. There's a huge economy for online influencers now. So becoming an online influencer has never been so rich and able to do this. This sort of role didn't exist 15 years ago. We didn't know what an online influencer was. Now, sky's the limit. Although there's a bit of a saturation to the market, find your niche, stick to it. I watch, what's Eddie's name? If you watch Eddie, you know who I'm talking about. He goes to the supermarket and he says, this is not food, this is shit. And he says, if you want to lose weight and stop being fat and lose your belly. Eat eggs, eat meat, don't eat any of this shit. Absolutely love his channel. Just for the entertainment value alone, and I love his advice. And now he started to get people coming up to him saying, "Oh, I did what you said, and I've lost 5 kilos," and stuff like that. So, he's grown his channel. He's making a business out of it now. He's got over 1 million people watching his video content on a weekly basis. Great work for Eddie. Well done, mate. And again, not sponsoring here. This is just me observing people doing absolutely fantastic in the social media space. So become an online influencer. I have already talked about brand ambassadors or reps. You absolutely can do that. The day of the door-to-door salesperson is probably coming to an end because people's consumer behavior patterns have changed now and people are more online. People are also more fearful of opening their doors for fear of violent crimes, including robbery. So the door-to-door salesperson era is probably coming to an end. But there are certain things that aren't. So experience events. So the first thing that comes to my mind is Ann Summers. Now, it gets a bit risque here, doesn't it? I still remember there was a lady who worked in one of my bars when I had a pub, and she was a rep for Ann Summers. And she asked me, can we have an Ann Summers party in one of the sections of the bar? I was like, sure. And mainly, if not all, female attendants. And she had all of these weird and wonderful contraptions with her. This is a PG channel, so I'm not going to go into detail of what she brought with her and what they were used for. But let's just say when somebody says plug to me now, I don't think of electrical plug. And anyway, she's a brand ambassador. And of course, she makes money on selling these products and she gets a commission from them. So Ann Summers is certainly one of those types. I know Avon. I was an Avon lady when I was much younger. I didn't have the skirt and the makeup on, but I was an Avon lady, believe it or not. And I absolutely loved it. I got taught very valuable lessons from doing Avon. Lesson like, don't give your customer the products they've ordered until they've paid for them. Because there was one lady who, took all the products off me for £75. I still see it to this day in town in Birkenhead, her and her fella. 75 quid worth of products and never, ever paid me. So there you go. So I had to pay that out of my commission fees. So being a brand ambassador has its ups and downs, but it actually taught me a really valuable lesson about money and about customer service. And I was only 16. And before you start, you can't be 16 to do that. You can, if you have a parent or guardian who's willing to sign, who's over the age of 18, to say that they will take responsibility for you. So you can do that age 16, become a brand ambassador, which, for me, it was a great experience going out in the rain, delivering catalogs and eventually sorting out the parcels and giving them to the customers and taking that payment. And I still remember making my first, 30 quid from, or £30 from my first Avon order and thinking I'd won the lottery because I made £30 when I was 16 years old. Fantastic. This one, a lot of people farm this out, virtual assistant. So we do hire virtual assistants in our business. They tend to typically be in the Philippines. And the reason for that is because they are more efficient in a lot of ways. They understand using technology virtually, and they are tending to be a lot cheaper than if you were to hire a VA here in the UK, because you can hire a really good VA for $8 an hour, which is a lot of money in the Philippines. Most people would be very happy to earn 30,000 PHP in the Philippines. If you're paying someone £8 an hour, they'll be looking at somewhere between 40 and 60,000 PHP per month. So that's a huge salary in the Philippines, just to give you some comparison there. But you can be a virtual assistant in the UK, of course, and very much like being sort of the on-screen helper that we talked about earlier, a VA could certainly be one of them. Now, this one, my wife tells me I could do this. You wouldn't think it the way I dress, but being a personal shopper. Many times when me and my wife go out shopping, we'll be walking past some stuff and I'll say, oh, do you know what, love? You look really good in that dress, or you look really good in that suit, or really good in that top. And my missus goes, are you joking? I say, I'm just saying, why don't you go and try it on? And then she goes and tries it on. She goes, oh my God, this is beautiful on me. And I'm like, yeah. She said, oh my God, you should do this for a living. And then she said I'm gay. I mean, I don't know what type of slur that is. You got to be gay to have good taste. I don't know. I got loads of gay mates with no taste at all. But I don't know. Maybe my Lazy Wealth Creation t-shirt is hugely stylish. Who knows? But being a personal shopper, you don't have to be gay. That's not true. But what you do have to have is an eye for style, and you have to understand people and what drives them. And being a personal shopper might sound like a great job opportunity for some. For me, that would be my own personal hell. But for others who are interested in fashion and interested in people looking nice and wearing nice things, not just about wearing things, but I have met personal shoppers who buy luxury high-end motor cars, luxury yachts on behalf of their customers, and they get quite a nice commission off that. If you are buying a 35 million euro yacht for somebody and you're earning 1% commission, that's not a bad day at the office, right? So being a personal shopper, I'm not just talking about clothing, I'm talking about luxury items as well. So you could do that. There's no formal qualification required for it, but of course it is a market that you can break into. I would recommend doing a little bit more research on that before you start. This one, personal tutors, not one of my favorites, I must admit. I've been an adult educator for many years. I'm qualified, I'm trained to do so, but personal tutors are on the rise, they're in demand. If you're an A student who's done their English, their history, their religious studies, their maths, their physics, their chemistry, their biology, and you've passed your A-levels and you got an A, there's nothing to stop you from helping other people to achieve the same at GCSE or A-level. If you're in university studying it, one of these subjects, there is nothing to stop you from helping others achieve the same. I know there's a lot of very naughty people out there that you can go on to certain websites, and you can ask them to write your dissertation for you at university. That's not the same as being a personal tutor, by the way. And I wouldn't recommend you do that because that would be plagiarism. But there is plenty of opportunity for the knowledge-based economy, so something to consider. So another one, being a virtual tour operator. Okay, so we've actually discussed doing this in our own business because we have investors from the south of England, from Essex, from London, from Kent, who want to invest in the northwest of England. So I have somebody who works for me, and they go around and do virtual tours of property. They do virtual tours of neighborhoods. They do virtual tours of loads of different asset classes on behalf of buyers down south. And they can do them either as a pre-recorded video or they can do it as a live. So then they can go and focus on certain areas of the property or of the asset class. And we charge a fee for that. And it's £35 to do a virtual tour of a property. And you say, well, 35 quid's not very much. Well, no, I mean, for us, we give £25 to the person doing the virtual tour, and we get £10 for setting everything up. That's it. Not something that's going to make me millions of pounds, but something that pays a regular income into our consultancy business. So, being a virtual tour operator, very, very handy to be able to have if you are into the property market, and it also helps to teach you about property as well. So that's just something to consider. If you've got a driving license and an iPhone or a Samsung or some sort of video making capacity, you could actually do that very quickly and very easily. For many investors down the south of England, I would join investment groups on social media like LinkedIn and Facebook. I'd say, look, if you want me to go and see a house for you in the north of England or in wherever it is that you live, the northeast of England, I'll charge you 35 quid and I'll go down and do the tour for you. I mean, what's to lose, right? You've already got the equipment anyway. Next one, being a freelance writer. Of course, the era of Chat GPT is here and now. And of course, it's a bit clunky when you say, "Hi, ChatGPT, please write me some stuff." And you can tell it's been written by ChatGPT. The emoticons are there and emojis are there. And it's very clunky and it's lots of information, but no detail behind it. So being a freelance writer, yeah, of course, you can use ChatGPT to help you get some influence or some ideas. But actually being a writer, that's something that you could still be considering. You could become a freelance blogger with a high domain authority website. You could be making bank because there are so many people looking for search engine optimization backlinks right now. You could write an article about a subject, let's say home care for me, and put it on a blog that's got a high domain authority, and people will pay you for that. I would pay you for that. We pay something like £30 to £50 per article written, with a good link, with a good do follow domain authority and page authority blog. So being a freelance writer actually can be incredibly lucrative now. Copy editor, next one. When you think about copy editing, you're not just looking for typos. You're looking about grammar, factual accuracy of something that's been written. The readability, does it flow? Do you get bored when you read some copy, or does it actually engage the audience? Being a copy editor is something that lots of people can do with the most basic command of the English language. If you've got a GCSE in English language, go on to allison.com, do a free course in copy editing, and then start selling your services, because there are tons of people in the social digital media marketing space or digital marketing space that need copy editors just to look at content all day and see if it's actually got anything going for it and if it's going to pass the muster to get it posted online. So being a copy editor, something to consider. Virtual recruiters, some companies actually pay people to start recruiting online, and they start to filter out candidates before they get to the full interview process, which might be in person. So this is not something I have personal experience with, but I know a couple of people that do virtual recruitment for working in the Emirates, in the GCC countries. So, Oman, Qatar, Dubai, Bahrain, those sorts of places. They will do virtual recruitment and filter out high quality candidates into the funnel, and they'll filter out the sort of lower quality candidates, which saves the hiring company a huge amount of time. And I think they get paid something like 500 quid for doing that per day, because they might have to filter out like 4, 5, 6 clients, potential recruits, sorry. So, £500 a day for being a virtual recruiter. Experience required. You don't need any experience, and you can go and do free training on how to be a virtual recruiter and register with different companies to do that for you. So virtual recruiter, very easy to do, but very low entry point. This is a shout out to Andrea here. Andrea comes to my PPN in Liverpool. So if you want a ticket to PPN Liverpool, click the link below. Come and meet Andrea. She does a craft shop. So she turns stones that you might find on a beach or in a garden. She wraps some like electrical wiring around them, and she creates these beautiful objects that people pay for. The stones cost her nothing. The electrical wiring is free because it's offcuts from her husband's work. And she's got a little online craft shop selling these little rocks now. So, I think that's wonderful. I think she sells them on Etsy. I'm not too sure. But Andrea, if you're listening to this episode, drop a link into your stuff, because we'll promote it for you free of charge. So just keep your eye out for that if you see Andrea down there. There's other sites as well as Etsy called Folksy and Zazzle, and they will sell you sort of like your online crafts for you. And of course, you don't have to do it online. You can do it offline too. Offline craft stores, huge market for those people. There are more people looking for different things. My son came to me on Father's Day and he'd been to a Viking craft fair, and he gives me this little pouch, and he says, "This is for you, Dad." I said, "Oh, thanks, babe. What is it?" He said, "Open it." I said, "Right, okay." And inside, it was a necklace, and it was metal, a little block of metal, and it had a Viking rune engraved into it. It was really nice. And he got one as well. So now we've got these rune necklaces together. And, you know, it's not something that I would sort of go to Argos and buy or go to Sainsbury's and buy. But it actually meant a lot to me because, you know, he'd gone to this little craft fair and he made the effort and bought that. At the same time, I must say, though, my daughter and grandson came to see me on Father's Day with a big bag of Haribo sweets and Ferrero Rocher. So I want some flowers as well and a handmade card, which was my grandson's little hand. It was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, and it says, "You are my hero." Isn't that lovely? So thank you to my grandson for that as well. But online craft shops, offline craft shops, these are things that you can do now if you've got any sort of skills. I know people that make flowers out of paper. People do origami. All of these things, they fascinate others. And these are things that you can actually turn into money for yourself. Oh, one of my personal favorites, sewing and alteration services. This is something that my nan was able to do and my mum to a lesser degree. But sewing, it's a lost art because we live in a throwaway economy now. So if you get a rip on a pair of clothes, a pair of jeans or on a t-shirt, you go, "Oh, it's ripped. I'll throw it away." But if you get people like me who are tight and who won't throw it away if we think, we could probably get that repaired, I'll pay to get it repaired. And there is a place in where I currently live, in a place called Birkenhead, where they have a store that just does sewing alterations. They lower the trousers, they higher the trousers, they widen the waist, they sew up if you've torn it because you're too fat and you sit down and you've ripped your jeans. I don't know who that could have been. It was me. And they'll come and they'll repair it for you, and it's between typically £5 and £12 for a repair. So I'm not saying that's going to be easy work, but it's something, if you know how to sew, it's something that you could certainly do and make money from. So there we are. Home baking. Wow, home baking. My wife's stepmom. So my stepmom-in-law. Can you have a stepmom-in-law? I don't know. Let me know if you can be a stepmom-in-law. My wife's stepmom. My stepmom-in-law makes the best steak pie I have ever had in my life. And I've often said to her, "You need to sell these." And she does some sort of like bake sales at the church and stuff like that. But, you know, learning how to bake, learning how to cook, you would need to get various permissions. The Environmental Health Agency, the Food Standards Agency will give you some free advice on how to keep safe if you're selling food for profit. But being a home baker and even teaching people how to bake as well. Have any of you ever gone to places like Italy and they say, experience how to make pasta? So we actually did this in Venice. Me and my now wife, it was girlfriend at the time, we went to Venice in 2019 March. Why is that important? Because if any of you remember, COVID-19 was in 35 kilometers outside Venice and they told us it was safe to travel. And my missus said to me, "Oh, I'm not sure about traveling." I said, "Oh, we'll be fine. It's nowhere near where we're going. We're actually going to Venice." And they locked Venice down while we were there. So hotels closed, restaurants closed, bars closed, and then we couldn't get back home because EasyJet, so not a plug for EasyJet cancelled all flights to the UK. So we couldn't get back to the UK at all from EasyJet. But luckily, Ryanair got us home. So thank you, Ryanair. But what happened was we'd booked in Italian food cooking class to learn how to make pasta and pizza. and it actually got cancelled because of COVID. But the point of this story is, other than it being interesting about COVID, is people will pay to learn a skill such as cooking or baking. And I wish I'd have picked up that skill from my nan before she passed away, but sadly I didn't, and I don't know how to bake. I can prepare food, I can cook food, but can I bake? No. Can I make a cake? Can I make a pie? No. But these are skills that you can charge for if you want to teach people how to do them. Next one, flower arranging. Now, I have personally coached 2 wonderful ladies in how to operate a florist business. Not because I know how to arrange flowers. They know how to arrange flowers. But they didn't understand necessarily how their business should operate to make money. So I've been helping them with that. So a real big shout out now to Amy and Chrissy, who are 2 of the nicest ladies that you will ever meet. And if you're in the Wirral area listening to this, I strongly recommend that you go and speak to Amy and Chrissy in Wirral Flowers or Butter Road Flowers, because they do absolutely wonderful flowers. And they've done stuff for funerals for us. They've done stuff for birthdays for us. And every single one of the family members or the people who've received the flowers have commented on A, how beautiful they are, and B, how long they've lasted. They do an absolutely tremendous job. So if you're in Wirral, Butter Road Flowers or Wirral Flowers, go and give them a call. Ask for Amy or Chrissy. Tell them I recommended you. It's not for profit. It's not for commission. It's just because they're wonderful girls and they do a fantastic job. So that's my little plug for Amy and Chrissy there. Flower arranging then, I would say, is a hugely mythical topic for me, but I've watched Amy and Chrissy certainly do their thing with lightning speed. I'm going, wow, how did you just turn that into this wonderful arrangement? But you can do some courses online and you can practice. I mean, you can go and buy flowers from Tesco's, from Aldi for, $2.99 and start mucking about with them. Or even better, I know this for a fact because I happen to know people in the flower industry. Go and ask if there's any jobs going where you can do some helping for them, even just some basic prep, because they are desperate to find people to help them with the work. So flower arranging, certainly something that people need all the time, and it's a skill that's not going to perish in the near future. Babysitting, one of my favorites. I am very happy to say I do not do any babysitting, and that's because I've got a grandson who I absolutely do not babysit, because my time of being a babysitter as a father is well and truly over. But if you've got a couple of spare evenings per week, maybe you could put that to good use by being a babysitter. Of course, we live in a different world now, so typically it's useful to have an enhanced DBS, Disclosure and Barring Service. Used to be called a criminal records check, a CRB it used to be called. But having a criminal records disclosure to make sure that you've not committed any crimes. And of course, start with people that you already know who could give you a reference. That would be my advice. And of course, we're closer in communities now than ever before with social media. You can start promoting that service right now. A lot of people go out on a Friday and on a Saturday. Some people are working on a Sunday. I've got one of my colleagues in the workplace, his wife, she is unable to work sort of traditional hours because her youngest isn't ready for school yet, but from September they will be. And how she's been making some extra revenue is by looking after other people's children while they go to work in the same community. They speak Tamil from Sri Lanka. So she's been making money from babysitting. It's not difficult. She's already got 2 kids. She's proven she can care for children without killing them. So good for her. So babysitting is a real option for people. Same with childcare as well. So I actually, we had a work outing where we took all of our employees and their family and their children. We took everybody bowling recently, and one of the staff brought his wife and said, she's looking after this child on behalf of one of our other members of staff. Is it okay if they come along? I was like, absolutely it is. So she brought along her workplace, basically. She brought along this little boy that she looks after. I think he was about 7 or 8 years old. And he had a great day bowling with us. So childcare as well. I think you might need to be registered as a child minder if you're going to do that professionally. So do look into that. But these are the sorts of things that can give you opportunities. If you want to know more information about childcare, go to childcare.co.uk and they've got loads of information to help you make a decision on whether that's right for you. This is a new one for me. I've not done it personally, but I am becoming more and more aware of it. I want to say doula, which is spelled D for Delta, D, O for Oscar, U for Uniform, L for Lima, A for Alpha, doula. And basically what they are is, or what you could be, if you've had a baby yourself and you're female, as defined by the ability to give birth to a child from the High Court, of course, you could help support new mothers and become a doula, which is a birth partner and a post-birth partner. You can actually do a short course with a company called British Doulas. Alongside your experience as a mum, you also get training from them to help you to become and they call it professional mother. It's not medically trained. You're not trying to be a nurse. You're not trying to be a carer. It's a professional mother. You're just helping other mothers to get by in the birthing room and also post-birth as well. Because, of course, more and more commonly now, people are experiencing birth, but not necessarily having the support mechanism around them because they might live far away from parents. They might not have contact with parents or siblings. So doula is something particularly for females who've had children themselves, helping people who are either in the birthing room or post-birth. So there's something for you. Now moving on to handyman or handy woman or handy person even. When I talk about being a handyman or a handy woman, I'm not talking about being able to do some roofing necessarily. There's a lot of people that just don't know how to hang a shelf. Some people don't know how to put a TV stand on the wall. Or a TV bracket on the wall, I beg your pardon. It'd be really interesting to put a TV stand on the wall, wouldn't it? Put a TV bracket on the wall. A lot of people don't know how to set up and install a game station, or they don't know how to set up the internet. So you could be somebody who could solve these problems for people. A little bit of leaflet dropping, a little bit of Facebook Marketplace. Before you know it, you're hanging up shelves, you're setting up TV brackets, you're setting up people's internet before you know it. And there's actually quite a lot of people in the market for that sort of stuff. I used to get asked all the time to do things like this, and I never charged anybody for it because it was usually elderly people and they were already working. We were already supporting them as a care company. I've changed locks for people. I've hung shelves for people. Changing light bulbs, changing light bulbs. It's nothing. Setting up a TV, setting up a hearing loop on a TV, setting up internet, installing an internal security camera. These are all things I've done on behalf of customers, which I didn't charge them for. But these are things that people actually need and want, that there's a real need for in the marketplace. So that's just something to consider. This is an interesting one, typically for females only, but not necessarily always. Sell your wedding dress. So a lot of people, when they get married, they spend a lot of money on a wedding dress. And, it has to get taken in and taken up, and various alterations need to happen before it becomes sort of fitting for them. But wedding dresses are expensive, right? And if you're not precious, you're not clingy to these sorts of things, you go and buy £1,000 wedding dress or a £5,000 wedding dress or even a £500 wedding dress. It might not be that you've got loads of them, but you could certainly sell those things on. And I would recommend you do if you're not sentimental about them, because people will pay, 100, 200, 300, £500 for wedding dresses, without too much of a battering of an eyelid if they like it. So just something for you to consider. It's not really a longevity thing, that, but you can buy wedding dresses from charity shops as well. And you can also buy wedding dresses online and then resell them yourself. So again, something to consider. This is one of my favorites, guys and girls, renting out equipment. So you might think to yourself, well, you know, what equipment am I going to be renting out? It could be things like garden equipment, lawnmowers, drills. It could be stuff like cameras. It could be a laptop, for all I know. But you can actually rent out your equipment to other people who don't really want to keep it for a prolonged period of time. They just need something short and snappy. Go on to a website called Fat Llama, and they will be able to assist you in basically getting your stuff rented out. It's fatllama.com, just for those of you who need to know. And next one. I know I've already talked about this before, but renting out a room in your house. You can rent out a room in your house for £7,000 a year, tax-free in the UK today. Okay? So if you've got a spare room in your house, you could rent it out for £7,000. Also, you could put some portion of your property out for rent. You would have to check if you've got a mortgage or rental agreement that you're allowed to do this, of course. But you could rent out a portion of your property on the short-term stay sites such as Airbnb or Booking.com, what we call online travel agent. And you could actually generate an income from this. There was a place in Peterborough. Oh, my goodness. I do this because it still haunts me. There's a place in Peterborough. It's on Booking.com. You can find it. And it was, the title of it was Small Cozy Studio. That was the title of the booking. And it's got some pictures, and there's a bed, and there's washing machine, sink, and shower, and all the rest of it. I thought, oh, wow, that looks really nice. So anyway, I booked it for 2 nights. Got there, and it was actually a garage that hadn't been converted properly. So it was what we call single skin brick. They'd put no attempt at insulation in the garage, so it was freezing cold. It was double doors they'd installed where the garage used to be, the garage door. So it was glass. So they put a big thick curtain over it. That was the insulation. An electric heater. And the double bed was immediately as you open the door, so it wasn't compliant with any building codes in terms of fire safety. It was just a nightmare. And it's actually got, I checked it on, I think it was the 13th of June 2025 when I was thinking about coming to Peterborough, and it's still on there, and I got a 7.8 review, and I don't know how, because it is certainly not a legally compliant room for sure, but it's actually not a room at all. It's a very badly done garage cum studio apartment, which would never pass building regs. But there we are. So you can rent a room, and it's that easy apparently. So if you've got a spare room in your house, you can certainly rent that out. I've stayed in houses around the NEC in Birmingham where I've rented a room for a temporary thing because there was an event going on. And it's cost me, like, for 3 nights, 150 quid. And it's a nice family. You share their kitchen, you know, that's fine. And it's nice when you come home, they're home, and you can have a bit of a chat with them if you're into socialising. If not, you can go into your own room. So rent a room, very easy to do, very easy to get started, and can make quite a nice chunk of change. £7,000 tax-free. Renting out your storage space. Now, when I say storage space, you might think like big locker, right? No. Shed, garden shed, loft, spare room in your property. Maybe you've got some other property that you don't use that you can use as storage. There's somebody I know that bought a church and rents it out as a storage unit, the church, okay? And why not? He charges per room and he makes a small fortune on it. So rather than having people stay in the place where you've got to have all of these different building regulations and codes to adhere to, he rents it out as storage instead. So you could actually rent out your storage space. There's a website called StoreMates. Or Stashbee, Stashbee.com. That's the name of it now. Stashbee.com. You can rent out your space on there. And there's another one called Store Next Door as well. You can storenextdoor.com. So they take a portion of your profit, of your charge. It's about 25% roughly with taxes. So, these are things that you can do right now. Empty space, you can start filling it up. Obviously, you've got to make sure that the stuff isn't illegal or something that's going to put you in danger. But there we are. I've talked about this one already. Rent out your driveway. If you live anywhere near events or places that have large gatherings, rent out your driveway. I use Just Park all the time, and the amount of driveways I've rented out in the last 5 years, I must have paid thousands of pounds to homeowners or people who have homes with car parking spaces. I must have paid thousands of pounds out. So that's something for you to do. And you can put it on Just Park, Parklet, your parking space. They will charge you a fee, of course, but you can charge anywhere from sort of £10 to £1,000 a day, depending on what's going on in your area. I know when the Hoylake the Royal Golf Championship in Hoylake took place in Wirral, people were hiring out their car parking spaces for £50 a day, and it was like a 2-week tournament. Sounds like not very much money, I know, but when it's extra income for you, making an extra 600 quid, 700 quid for what? Just letting someone park on your driveway. Per car, remember that, per car. A lot of the places in Hoylake, their driveways, they can fit 6 cars. So £600 times 6, £3,600. That's not bad for a couple of weeks. And some people were doing even better than that, and they were renting out their entire houses for £1,000 a week, which are right by the golf course, buggering off on holiday, and they come back and there's, £2,000 for 2 weeks worth of holiday rental income for their property. So there's something for you. I know I talk about dog walking a lot because I have a big dog and I pay a dog walker to walk him. But being a dog walker or a pet sitter is big business in the UK. 1 in 4 people own or have a pet in their life, whether that's a goldfish, a hamster, a cat, a ferret, a dog, you name it. People, a snake, a lizard of some description. People have pets, spiders. They need feeding, they need caring for, they need their ovarian bulbs checking if they're a reptile or a spider. They need to be fed every day. They need to be walked, engaged so they don't lose their marbles. They need to be let out so they don't poo everywhere in your house. Dog walking and pet sitting, absolutely massive business. We pay our dog walker between £400 and £600 per month to walk our dog. Okay, that's one dog. And he gets walked twice per day for an hour each. So 2 hours. The dog walker, lovely bloke. Shout out to Alan, by the way. If any of you are interested in dog walking on the Wirral, K9 Adventures, K9 Adventure Walks. Alan, fantastic guy, used to dealing with big breed dogs. I recommend him strongly. He's not paying me for this endorsement. I'm just telling you, he's a great guy, lovely with dogs, lovely with people as well. And I would highly recommend him. So there we are. But he charges us more than what our mortgage costs, and that's only one dog. He walks several dogs per day, so there's a great opportunity there, plus pet sitting as well. I think Alan does pet sitting, but you can be a pet sitter and charge by the hour or by the day. And you could also have somewhere to live if somebody's going away for longer periods of time. Further to this, really interesting one that I came across the other week. I was having a conversation with someone and he said, I'm just going to some of these houses. I've got to be there by 6 because they're away and I'm plant sitting. I said, what? Did you just say plant sitting? And she said, yeah. She said, they've got these plants. I don't remember the name of them, but they need watering every day. So she's got a little spray gun and she goes in and waters all these plants. And I said, okay. And are they paying you for that? And she said, oh, yeah. She said, yeah. She said, it's only £30 a day, but I just go in once a day and spray the thing. £30 a day to go put some water on some plants. Are you mad? And they're away for 3 months. So she's going away for 3 months, squirting water on some plants. I don't know how many plants they've got, by the way. It might be a huge amount of plants. I didn't ask. I would love to see this house with all of these plants in it for £30 a day. But that's what she does. Plant sitting. And the interesting thing she said to me was, you've got to talk to the plants as well, like. You've got to talk to the plants. I said, what do you talk about? And she said, oh, just general stuff about the day. She said, but it's got to be positive because plants are very sensitive. And I'm laughing because I'm thinking about vegans right now. And if plants are sensitive and plants have got feelings too, well, should we be eating plants? I don't know. But she actually talks to the plants. She said she spends about an hour and a half in there watering them and talking to the plants. And I just thought that was remarkable that, people are prepared to pay for that. So good for her, really. So plant sitting as well as pet sitting and dog walking. There we are. One of my least favorite activities that I absolutely do pay people to do for me, ironing services. I pay somebody to iron my clothes because there is no way you're going to get me standing up, ironing my clothes all day, every day. It's like such a waste of my time. I could use that hour going to invest in property and perhaps make some more money or, checking in on my staff, or I could spend that same hour ironing clothes. How many people out there listening right now spend their time ironing clothes when you could be making money? Most importantly, if you're ironing your own clothes, ask other people, do you want their clothes ironing, and make some money off them. So while you're ironing your own clothes, charge them a tenner, get a bag of ironing, or 20 quid, get a bag of ironing and start pressing their clothes for them as well. There's lots of ways to make money, guys and girls, in this economy. I hope that's been useful for you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I look forward to your comments and your subscribing, of course. Any of this stuff resonates with you. If you're already doing it, let us know in the comments. If you are new to trying your side hustles and making money on the side very quickly, let us know how far you have progressed. And also, if you are just starting out, let us have your journey. Tag us, copy us in. Tell us what you've been doing in your journey to get to where you're going, and make sure you document everything and share it with us on social media. I look forward to seeing you next time at Lazy Wealth Creation Podcast.